Pope Francis wraps up his first visit to the continent with a visit to the Central African Republic. A closer look at a Nigerian mural artist. And a Pakistani comedy troupe's powerful message for Paris attack victims goes viral. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Pope Francis has ended his first Africa trip, which took him to 3 countries. Francis flew out of the Central African Republic early Monday afternoon after celebrating Mass before a huge gathering at the National Stadium in the capital, Bangui. Earlier at the main mosque in Bangui, the Pope said Christians and Muslims are brothers and there is no reason they cannot coexist.
Christians and Muslims and members of traditional religions have lived peacefully for many years.
Well, he said his visit to the country, which has seen political conflict and clashes between Christians and Muslim militants, will be incomplete without meeting with the Muslim community. In his message at a Mass on Sunday, Pope Francis called on the country's warring parties to lay down their weapons and support efforts to end sectarian violence. Conflict. Ahead of his arrival, President Catherine Samba-Panza said people see Pope Francis as a messenger of peace and hoped he would inspire a national push for Central Africans to accept each other. The CAR has endured nearly 3 years of violence since a mostly Muslim rebel group, the Seleka, overthrew President Francois Bozize in March 2013. Killings by the Seleka triggered the rise of mainly Christian militias known as the Anti-Balaka. Well, for more on the Pope's visit and his concluded tour of Africa, viewers Chris Stein joins me live now via phone from Bangui. Chris, first, there were concerns about security in Central African Republic during the visit of the Pope. How are things?
Well, those concerns were definitely founded. I mean, when I arrived here last week, the city was tense. Certain neighborhoods still had, and they still have almost at all times, militiamen guarding the entrances and exits. And that creates a situation where there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of tension within the city and the feeling that things can change at any moment. Fortunately, for the Pope's visit, there were no, as far as I know, major incidences, security breaches. Security officials told me that the thing they were most concerned about was crowd control. There were large crowds greeting him and outside many of his public events. But all in all, I'd say none of those fears came to pass, and everything mainly went well.
Now, in terms of the 2 communities in Central African Republic, significantly the Muslim and Christians, did they see the significance of the Pope's visit in the same way? What are you hearing?
I mean, yeah, they did. I mean, for the Christians, obviously, there's a large Catholic population in this country, and many, were very excited to see the Pope for obvious reasons. Many people who are Protestant as well turned out to welcome him. He's one of the most famous people in the entire world, bar none, and so I think that there's a lot of excitement around that over everybody. From the Muslims' perspective, the Muslim community in Bangui is much smaller than it has been and are fairly endangered, although there's tit-for-tat clashes between both sides. And I think that they were hopeful that he would, help their situation. The mosque in the TK5 neighborhood has been visited a number of times by dignitaries, perhaps most notably by Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General. So Pope Francis is not the first person to come by, but he was perhaps among the most profile, if not the most high profile, and hopes were high because of that.
Well, Chris, thank you very much. Viewers, Chris Stein reporting live from Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic. Now, Pope Francis concluded his first Africa tour Monday after spending 5 days in Kenya, Uganda, and the Central African Republic. He touched on subjects from family values to climate change to poverty, but his overall theme was peace and reconciliation. Viewers, Jill Craig covered the visit and has a look at the highlights from Nairobi.
From the moment Pope Francis touched down in Kenya, he was greeted like a superstar.
I mean, I'll be just happy at least for the first time the Pope is coming to Africa, and I have the experience to see him come to Africa. It's just nice. It's just fantastic.
In Kenya, he visited the Nairobi slum of Kangemi, where he denounced the injustice of substandard living conditions for the poor. And he called for a transformational agreement on climate change at global talks opening in Paris Monday, one that would also fight poverty.
Sería triste, y me atrevo a decir, hasta catastrophic.
It would be sad, and I dare say even catastrophic, were particular interests to prevail over the common good and lead to manipulating information in order to protect their own plans and projects.
Para proteger sus propios proyectos.
In Kampala Saturday, the Pope said Mass for an estimated 300,000 people at the Martyrs' Shrine in Namugongo. He urged people to honor the legacy of these martyrs by taking care of the elderly, the poor, and the abandoned.
This is the third Pope that our country is receiving, and so this is a great blessing. It shows that our faith is very strong, but our struggles are also being recognized.
And on Sunday, Pope Francis brought his message of peace, along with heavy security, to the Central African Republic, his first visit to a conflict zone. A rebel coup followed by sectarian conflict has killed thousands of people there and displaced nearly 1 million in the past 3 years. Pope Francis visited a refugee camp and later said Mass at the cathedral, where he called for fighters to lay down their weapons and instead arm themselves with love and mercy.
This represents a future of lasting peace at home here in CAR, because in my whole life I had never seen the Pope, and my country needed for him to come because of the current situation. His arrival touches me deeply.
Pope Francis met with Bangi's few remaining Muslims Monday at the Central Mosque. He told them Christians and Muslims are brothers and should reject violence, especially violence committed in the name of religion. A message many Africans hope will resonate long after the Pope's departure. Jill Craig, VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, Burkina Faso is expected to announce provisional results from an election Sunday to choose the West African country's first new leader in decades. The president of the Independent National Electoral Commission said there was strong turnout in all 45 provinces, and most logistical problems at the start of the day were resolved. Sunday's election, which concluded peacefully, came after longtime leader Blaise Compaoré was toppled in a popular uprising in October 2014 after an attempt to extend his tenure. The top two contenders are Roch Marc Kabore, Prime Minister and President of the National Assembly under former President Compaoré, and Zéphirin Diabre, who was a Minister of Finance in the 1990s before stepping down to start an opposition party. For the latest on the Burkina Faso election, Bagassi Koura of VOA's French to Africa service joins me live via phone from Ouagadougou. Let's begin with the significance of this election. It will be the first time, Bagassi, that a civilian will be president of that country, right? Bagassi.
Yeah.
Yes, Bagassi, do you hear me? The question is, tell us a little bit about the fact that this is the first time an election is being held after many, many years of coups and military rulers. Well, looks like we might be experiencing some technical problems from Bangui. Trying to reestablish contact there with Bagassi Koura of the Voice of America. Meanwhile, several students were injured at a university in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, when a security drill conducted by police at the campus sparked panic on Monday. Students from Strathmore University were not informed about the security drill and panicked in fear the exercise was another Al-Shabaab attack. A number of students were injured when they attempted to flee from the school upon hearing the sound of gunfire. The Kenyan Red Cross confirmed that at least 2 patients were hospitalized, with one of them in critical condition. Nairobi has been on heightened alert following a spate of bomb and gun attacks by Islamist militants, including the 2013 Westgate Mall assault, when gunmen killed 67 people. In April, gunmen stormed Garissa University near the Somali border, killing 147 people. Well, to France now, where more than 150 world leaders have gathered in Paris for a UN summit with the goal of agreeing to binding measures to address climate change and keep global temperatures from rising to a level that could have catastrophic impact. World leaders began gathering early Monday for the summit, including U.S. President Barack Obama. Ahead of the formal opening of the summit, Obama met with China President Xi Jinping. Obama said China and the U.S. are coming to the summit with a common vision to move forward with significant measures to limit carbon emissions.
There's the two largest economies in the world and the two largest carbon emitters. We have both determined that it is our responsibility to take action. And since our historic joint announcement of our post-2020 climate targets in Beijing last year, more than 180 countries have followed in announcing their own targets. And so our leadership on this issue has been absolutely vital. And I appreciate President Xi's consistent cooperation on this issue.
The goal of the summit is to limit average global warming to 2 degrees Celsius, perhaps less, compared to pre-industrial revolution levels by curbing fossil fuel emissions that are blamed for climate change. By the end of this year, the UN's weather agency says the average global temperature is said to have risen by 1 degree Celsius, halfway to the limit the UN is seeking to impose. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon opened the summit, urging the 150 leaders at the meeting to take advantage of the opportunity to act.
Bold climate action is in the national interest of every single country represented at this conference. The time for brinksmanship is over. Let us build a durable climate regime with a clear rule of the road that all countries can agree to follow. Paris must mark a decisive turning point. We need the world to know that we are headed to a low emissions, climate resilient future, and there is no going back.
French President François Hollande has warned of obstacles for the 195-nation summit in reaching a compulsory deal in Paris, including the legal status of any accord, financing for poorer countries, and monitoring of countries' pledges to limit greenhouse gas emissions. So far this year, 183 nations have issued a long-term plan to cope with climate change, but difficult negotiations are expected at the summit and related international meetings that run through December the 11th. An attempt in Copenhagen in 2009 to draft a global deal foundered at an ill-tempered summit with divisions between rich and poor countries. Well, now to Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso, where Bagashi Koro of Voice of America is standing by. An election has just concluded on Sunday. Now, Bagashi, first we want to talk about the significance of this election. It's been many years since a civilian won an election in that country. Can you tell us what Burkinabés are saying?
Yes, people I met yesterday at polling station were very excited because for many of them, this is the first time they will have to vote in a very fair election where they have a sense that at least for the first time there will be a new president, not the incumbent who has been winning election after election. Everything went well yesterday. People came out in great numbers to line up and vote peacefully. It went down peacefully, and we are now in the ballot counting since last night, and I think things have been slowed down a bit because of some technical problem which they were able to fix.
Now, what indications are there in terms of who might be ahead in this election? We know that two of them are top contenders.
Yes, two of them are top contenders. Right now, we have 163 results from... we have a result from 163 municipalities out of the 368 municipalities of Burkina Faso. And from these results, we can see that Roch Kabore of MPP party is leading with Zefilin Diabre. They are leading really far ahead of everybody else. And we don't know yet if there will be a runoff, because if none of the two is able to secure 51% of the vote, they will have to organize a runoff maybe by the end of December.
Very quickly, by when must the final results be given or announced?
Yeah, yesterday I met the chief of the Electoral Commission, and he said they were doing everything they could to give the results by this Monday, 6 p.m., which is like less than 2 hours.
Okay.
But I don't think it will be possible because we even don't have half of the results yet.
All right, thank you very much. Viewers, Bagashi Kora reporting live from Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. And I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook, and the address is Africa 54. And check out all headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Well, coming up, a Nigerian artist makes his mark in Washington, D.C. Stay with us.
How do you see the world?
I see countries in turmoil.
I see our planet changing.
I see people at peace.
No matter how you see the world, you'll get an unbiased and uncensored view of it on Voice of America. On television, radio, online, and mobile. In more than 40 languages all day, every day. Millions of people tune us in.
How do I see the world? On Voice of America.
Welcome back. Now, a picture, they say, is worth 1,000 words. And for some pictures, they have so much depth that they not only stand the test of time, but outlive their photographer, or, in this case, the artist. In this next report, Nigeria's very own Anekan Udofia shows us some of the magic which he's worked with his paintbrush over the years. Channels TV correspondent Cynthia Ari spent the day with the artist and brought us this report.
Some people say talent comes naturally, while others are of the view that it can be learnt. For Anekan Udofia, a Nigerian based in Washington, D.C., both perspectives apply.
Throughout my life, I've always been drawing as a kid. You know, all kids draw, you know. So we scribble on the walls, we scribble on paper and things like that. So I've always been that way. And when I got in my teens, I started realizing magazine editorials, newspaper editorials, cartooning, and things like that. So I wanted to make a career out of it.
Anekan was born in Washington, D.C., grew up in Nigeria, and returned to develop and put his rare talent to good use.
When I came here in '99, murals were not in the picture. I was more going towards doing editorial illustration and a lot of commissioned work on canvases and things like that. I was really into a lot of hip-hop drawings and paintings. So as time went on, I think around 2009, I was commissioned to do a mural. Now, a few years later, we're standing here in front of one of the latest murals I've done, and the feeling is nostalgic, you know, to see the progression.
Choosing a career in art was challenging, but despite the lack of support, Anekan encouraged himself and drew inspiration from others in his field.
There wasn't that much support with it, whether it's peers or, you know, parents, you know, family. So what I did, I kept moving forward, but it was more the passion that drove me than anything.
Anekan's dedication has paid off in the long run, and he's made history. One of his latest works, which features the connections seniors have with technology, is reputed to be the tallest mural in Washington, D.C. The irony is that he's scared of heights. Well, right now I'm on U Street in Washington, D.C., and behind me is one of Anekan's famous and most significant murals, which depicts the U.S. President Barack Obama and famous comedian Bill Cosby. The whole idea of having their pictures on this mural is a way to honor them for having paid visits to this famous chili bowl right here on U Street.
It's a very amazing feeling to be doing something that is recognized by a lot of people here in the capital of the United States.
There is a saying that a prophet is without honor in his own country. Anyekan just might be the exception, as he is being celebrated both at home and abroad.
Well, Cynthia Ari now joins us for more on that very, very captivating report. It must have been really nice and enjoyable doing it.
Nice is an understatement.
Yeah.
I've never been more proud to be Nigerian because that's my brother.
Exactly.
Doing wonders with his brush.
He's fantastic.
The best part is the timing.
Yeah.
Those murals you saw, each one takes him at most a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's under bad weather conditions.
Yeah.
So if he's shivering and painting that well.
How about if it was calm and beautiful?
I'm telling you.
Now, my question is, what made him persist and push on even when it didn't look like he can possibly succeed in this?
Passion.
Yeah.
You can't stop someone who has passion for what they do. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not paying immediately, it will pay eventually.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the mayor was at his last unveiling. That is very significant.
Yeah.
And it was just the passion that made him to persist. Because really, no one thinks that most people, especially back home in Africa, think you need to have this white-collar job.
Exactly.
And that painting is a hobby. And you should, like he said, but he just proved that statement wrong.
And great thing is that he's not one of those guys, as you mentioned, who just went away, succeeded, and nobody cares about him at home. But people really appreciate him back home.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
including
great.
me. And I'll say again, I've never been more proud to be Nigerian.
Great. All right, Cynthia, thank you very much for sharing this story with us. Well, Cynthia Ari of our partner channels TV of Lagos. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Young Pakistan comedians have a message for Paris, and it's gone viral. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In the Central African Republic, Pope Francis calls for peace between Muslims and Christians as he wraps up a 5-day visit to Africa. In Burkina Faso, counting begins as millions of voters cast their ballot for parliament and president, a crucial vote just 1 year after a popular uprising ousting former president Blaise Compaoré. In Kenya, several students are injured at Nairobi University after a mock security exercise. In South Africa, Prince Harry visits to bestow one of Britain's top honors on the anti-apartheid activist Desmond Tutu. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. A video created by a group of young Pakistanis in the wake of the Paris attacks has gone viral with its message of peace and solidarity.
Of November, the French capital saw barbaric acts of terror. And we'd like you to know that we're just as shocked and horrified as everyone else around the world.
And we're constantly praying for your safety and security.
We actually are one of the few nations who completely understand what you guys are going through.
Why?
Well, the video stars members of the House of Lords, a group of 6 childhood friends who make videos when we're bored. Because why not? According to their Facebook page. They say they were inspired to create their latest work after seeing news of the Paris attacks on television and worrying about the backlash this would have on Muslims across the world. It has garnered around 8 million likes on different Facebook pages since it was first posted on November the 15th. In other viral video news, a surveillance video from China showing 3 vehicles jumping almost simultaneously and colliding has been making the rounds on the internet. The video shows 2 minibuses rising suddenly at a crossroads. The one in the front overturned while the one behind collided with another car. Surprisingly, a car running in the opposite direction also jumped with the 2 minibus and stopped on the road. The culprit of the accident was a steel wire rope on the ground at the scene. The rope twined by a passing by sanitation vehicle and stumbled the 3 vehicles. Staying in China, if you are a parent, this is probably a familiar sight. kids spending hours surfing the web and gaming. This military-style boot camp in China's easterly Shandong province is one of dozens of internet addiction treatment centers to have sprung up across China. Many parents have come to believe strict training and discipline is the best way to keep their children away from the virtual online world. According to the China Internet Network Information Center, at the end of 2014, over 4 out of 10 regular internet users were in China, were teenagers in China. That's almost 43% of 648 million internet users, meaning a total of 277 million teenagers going online almost every day, some for hours on end. And that is what is trending today. Well, it was an exciting weekend of sports. Now for all of the highlights, we turn to Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Sunny?
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. Let's begin with boxing. British fighter Tyson Fury, on the right with his gloves behind his back, is the new world heavyweight champion. Fury ended the nearly 10-year reign of Vladimir Klitschko, scoring a unanimous decision victory in Dusseldorf, Germany. Fury bloodied the eyes of Klitschko as he inflicted the Ukrainians' first loss since April 2004. The undefeated Fury, meanwhile, won his 25th consecutive prize fight. The tall Tyson, 6 feet 9 inches in height, or about 2.06 meters, comes from a boxing family, and he was named after former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. He taunted Klitschko before and during the fight, but afterwards he gave the former champion kudos.
Congratulations to Vladimir and his team. Put up a really good fight tonight. I found him quite awkward to land clean on, as he did me. You know, he caught me with some good shots, so credit to him. I'm a young, big, fast heavyweight, so congratulations to Vlad because he landed some great punches on me tonight. But tonight just wasn't his night, and it was my night. God gave me the victory tonight. So I hope to have many more defences of these titles in the future. And if I could just say one thing, if I could be half as good as champion as Vladimir Klitschko, I'd be very, very happy.
A very happy Tyson Fury, the new world heavyweight boxing champion. Here's a sunny side of sports salute to Genzeba Dibaba of Ethiopia and Ashton Eaton of the United States, the IAAF Athletes of the Year. Ladies first. Genzeba Dibaba set the women's 1,500 meters world record in July, clocking 3 minutes and 50.07 seconds. The following month in Beijing, she won the world title in the event, as well as a bronze at 1,500 meters. For his part, Olympic champion Ashton Eaton also won a world title in the 10-event decathlon in Beijing, where he broke his own world record with a score of 9,045 points. I'm VOA Sunny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Vincent?
Thanks a lot, and goodbye. That's it.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Here's a colorful expression we use often in American English.
Out of the blue.
How can you get something out of a color?
I just got a message out of the blue on Facebook from my ex-boyfriend, Vladimir.
Oh boy. When was the last time you heard from him?
It's been like 5 years.
And he contacted you just out of the blue like that? Weird.
The expression out of the blue is used to describe any event that happens unexpectedly. There is no warning or time to prepare. The word blue in the expression refers to the clear blue sky. In our example, Anna was surprised by an out-of-the-blue message from an old boyfriend. And that's English in a Minute.